Hello and welcome. My name is Bashir Fadl, and on behalf of LearnITCoursesOnline.com, as well as LearnJobsOnline.com, I'd like to thank you. We do know that you have a variety of choices of IT training, and you've chosen us, so we really appreciate that and hope that you enjoy it. Thank you. Validation rules. In a lot of applications based on the business rules, we'd like to make sure that we have a valid value based on the business rules in every single field that's being populated. For instance, if you're trying to book a flight online and you go to a website such as Priceline or Expedia or Travelocity and try to book your flight, and by mistake you pick yesterday's date, there should be a validation rule that makes sure that you can do that. That's why if you go to the calendar to pick the date in which you're traveling, you're going to find that all the dates in the past are faded out. Another example of a validation rule is we should not be able, yes, we do have the calendar, we can pick dates, but airlines normally do not allow you to book more than a year in advance. So if today's January 1st, 2022, I should not be able to book a flight on January 1st, 2023, a year in advance. And sure enough, if you look at the calendar items, unless the business rules change, you should not be able to do that. So those are examples of validation rules. Now we're going to play around a little bit where we're going to test our quantity, and normally the quantity should be a 0 or a positive number. So in this sample object that we have a field called quantity. So let us create a record in samples and enter the quantity value as a negative value, which is inaccurate. So as shown above, we've entered the value minus 50. In general, the quantity field must not be negative. In this case, we have to apply validation rules. Whenever a user enters a negative value for a field quantity, then an error message must be displayed to enter a positive value. Here we have to restrict user by entering a negative value. So how do we create validation rules in Salesforce? To create validation rules in Salesforce, we go to Setup, then Build, then Create, then Objects, in this case the sample object, and then Validation Rules. Click on New button to create new validation rule in the sample object. Now we're going to enter the rule name. Click on Insert field and enter the syntax. Check the syntax, whether it has any errors or not. We enter the error message that we'd like to display. We enter the error location as where it's going to appear on the screen. And now we click on the Save button. After creating the validation rule, we cannot and should not be allowed to enter any negative values on the quantity field. So if we enter a negative value, an error message will be displayed at the top of the page, as we can see. The record will only get saved when a quantity field is a positive value. A validation rule in Salesforce can be activated or inactivated. To activate a Salesforce validation rule, we follow the following steps. We go to the object, and then validation rule, and edit the validation rule. Uncheck the active button to deactivate, and then the validation rule will be inactive. Check it, and it will be active and implemented. Once we choose whether we want it active or not, then we need to click on the Save button to conclude the exercise. With this, we come to the end of this session, and we'd like to thank you for joining us. And also, don't hesitate to visit our website at LearnITCoursesOnline.com to leave your feedback and reviews. And also look at our events. We have a lot of free sessions, and we'd be more than happy to have you join at any given time, and also sign up with us for our newsletter. Thank you and have a wonderful time.